Here is what the Badgers have to do to beat the Spartans. Let's talk about it.
You are Locked On Badgers, your daily podcast on the Wisconsin Badgers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is going on, Badger fans? Welcome to Locked On Badgers, your team every single day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm Roast Ryan Aarons. Really do appreciate you tuning in. Short episode today, but we are talking keys to the game, Wisconsin-Michigan State, which is going to be a huge one that's coming up. Why the Badgers offense is critical and what's going to happen. What is going to happen in this game later today? East Lansing, number 8 Michigan State, number 11 Wisconsin Badgers. But first, let's start here. We made it. It's March. College basketball fans, Wisconsin Badger fans, we have made it to March. We have made it to the Mecca of college basketball, one of the greatest sporting months anywhere, everywhere, for all the time. We have made it. Congratulations. You have made it through the doldrums of winter. We've done it together. Let's go. Okay, that out of the way. Hell of a time to be here. I'm excited that you're here too. Let's talk about keys to the game. So Michigan State, number 8 overall, 14-3 in the Big Ten. Wisconsin, number 11, 12-5 in the Big Ten. That double bye still very much up in the air for Wisconsin and a couple other teams, obviously Maryland, Purdue, et cetera, et cetera. Let's talk about keys to the game. The first key is you can't just be a three-point shooting team against Michigan State. You are going to get swallowed up by their long-limbed, athletic, ferocious, well-coached perimeter defense. You can't do it. Even this Badgers team, as good as they are at shooting from three, as versatile as they are from shooting from three, where every single player on the court can do it, you can't get locked into a battle against Michigan State where you are just trying to shoot threes. It's not going to work. They're too darn good defensively there. There's some really interesting metrics when you look at it. They are 73rd opponent total numbers. Okay, they're 73rd in made threes. So opponents have taken not made very many shots against them from the perimeter, but they've taken a ton. Sorry, I'm tripping over my words here. They're 249th in opponent attempted threes. So 73rd in made, 249th in attempts, which means they're still forcing a ton of threes despite not giving much up. Sorry, it took me a second to get to that point. I tripped over my words, but it's really scary. The fact that they're remarkably good at not giving up threes, but also remarkably good at forcing you to take them. It's a dangerous combination. And if you're a Badger team that sometimes falls into the trap of wanting to shoot a lot of threes, that's what Michigan State wants you to do because that's what they're best at defending. You have to avoid falling into that trap because they close out really aggressively. They have long arms. They don't foul on shots. Really, really good there. They are giving up, they're 6th in the country in opponent three-point percentage. They're 99th percentile in synergy on guarding spot-up shooters. That's basically the best you can be in the country. I mean, not the best. That'd be for not 99th, but they are absolutely incredible in that aspect. You cannot fall into the trap of shooting three after three after three against them. You will lose. That all due respect to this really good and really strong Wisconsin Badgers shooting team, you will lose if you do that. So don't fall into that trap. Okay. So what you got to do? You got to get into the paint. You got to post up. How are they at post defense? They're 46th percentile, giving up 0.870 points per possession. So still really good. The one thing you're going to look at when you dive into this Michigan State defense is there's not holes. There's just things that are easier, right? There's not a giant weakness, but there's things that you can get them on. And one of them is post defense. One of them is finishing at the rim. One of them is getting in transition. It's not shooting three after three after three. So big Stephen Crowell game, Nolan Winter game. Guys getting into the paint, getting downhill, Tonje and Blackwell, not settling for shots because that's what Michigan State wants you to do. That's what they're really good at defending. So again, at the rim, they're 68th percentile, giving up 1.10 points per possession. You got to get to the rim. They have a really solid front court. All their front court defenders grade up pretty high statistically from a defensive efficiency standpoint, but they don't have any great shot blockers. No monsters down there. You can score at the rim against them. You can score in transition against them a little bit. You can score on post-ups against them. You're not going to score consistently on the perimeter, so don't try to do it. Next, the battle in transition. Next key. Defensively, you want to get to Michigan State early. I just talked about it. They're giving up 1.036 points per possession. That's 49th percentile. They're very middle of the pack. And this is even more true against a defense like Michigan State. The more they're set, the harder they are going to be to score against. So Wisconsin, this actually plays pretty well into Wisconsin's what they do this year. They do push the ball. They do look for early offense. You're going to have to do that a lot against Michigan State. Rebound the ball because Michigan State's a good rebounding team, and then get out and find shots in transition, getting to the rim. That's where Tanjay Blackwell has been pretty good this year. You're going to have to do it against Michigan State because the better the defense, the more you have to find the easy buckets. You're not going to score 70, 80 against them if you don't get some in transition. You're just not. So get out in transition. And conversely, you got to stop the ball against Michigan State. This is one of the biggest keys of this game. Transition both ways. Michigan State will push the ball. And it is so well coached. Of course it is. It's Tom Izzo, right? You watch them play. It's big man catch, outlet to a wing. That wing immediately gets center of the court. He's looking to get downhill into the paint, right? And that could be Atkins, that could be Holloman, that can be Fears. They're all trying to get the ball, immediate pressure, middle of the court, get downhill. If you don't stop the ball, you're just going to get a layup. That's what they're pushing for. And on both sides, they got wing shooters, and then they got a big man filling the paint, running to the rim. Really, really well-coached transition offense team. You have to get back. And that's something I've thought that at times this year the Badgers haven't. Jackson Taylor says, "What's up, Brian? What's up, Jackson? Happy night show." You have to get back in transition against this team because they're going to push the ball. They're going to be relentless with it. And if you don't stop that, they're going to get layup after layup or kick it out for shots. Here's my third strength. Then we're going to get into matchups and what I think will happen in your comments. Third strength is play to their weaknesses. So I went back and I watched the Maryland game, parts of it, a chopped up version of it. I didn't watch the entire Maryland-Michigan State game. But I went back and watched that. I went back and watched some of their game against Illinois. This is a poor three-point shooting Michigan State team. They just are. They're shooting 28% from three. So don't allow them to close or to drive your closeouts. Maryland had too many plays where they closed out on guys. And listen, you can't. These are D1 players. You're not giving Richardson wide open threes. That's not what I'm saying. But close out under control. Understand that they're trying to get to the paint because they haven't shot the ball well. And they were able to do that at times against Maryland, where Maryland just closed out too hard. Move your feet. Cut off penetration, even if it means giving up a step, right? At times this year, Wisconsin has given up a lot of open threes. I'd argue in this game that's okay. Until Michigan State hits two or three of them. I mean, again, don't give up wide open threes, still close out, still put pressure on a team. But their offense is transition, then it's driving, getting into the paint. And they're really good. They're good at the paint because they're athletic, they're long. They're markedly better when they can finish near the rim than shooting the three this year. It just is what it is. So take away the penetration, right? Take away their shots at the rim to the best of your ability, even if it means giving up another step on a closeout. So I think those are your three keys to the game, right? Don't fall in love with the perimeter shot. Go into the post, go to the rim, battle transition. Who wins it, right? Both teams are going to be better if they can get out and run. Michigan State really likes to run offensively. Wisconsin's defensive transition is vitally, vitally, vitally important in this game. Vitally important. And the third one is make Michigan State beat you with some perimeter shots. And if they do that, like if Michigan State starts hitting threes, then you adjust. I'm not even going to sit here and say if Michigan State starts hitting threes, it's over. I don't think it's over. This Wisconsin team is really good. It's not over if Michigan State starts hitting shots, but I would say then you adjust if they start hitting shots. And there's a chance they don't because they haven't done it very often this year. So let's see if they do. Hand up, but it's a hand up. I'm ready to move my feet because I think you're going to drive my closeout. That's what you do in this game. All right, coming up, I'm going to tell you what I think a couple of the matchups are and what I think will happen, plus the biggest interesting point to this game for me. Plus, we'll get into some of your comments next on Locked On Badgers. First, a quick break for our friends of the show. As always, a quick second to say thank you for tuning in as well. Big game coming up. We'll get into that next. But first, a quick break for our friends of the show over at FanDuel. FanDuel's incredible. I talk about it all the time. What better time to have FanDuel than right now, right? We're coming into March. We all know this. The greatest sports betting month, I think, in my opinion, anywhere. And FanDuel's the ultimate spot for it. You can do everything on FanDuel. Parlays, futures, teasers, spreads. It's all there. Easy payouts, easy interface. Plus, they have a great new offer right now. $5 bet gets you $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's simple, easy money, cash to help you continue betting. Please do it responsibly, but FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Today's episode also brought to you by our good friends over at Prize Picks. Again, let's keep talking March. Let's keep talking this incredible time to be a sports fan and incredible time to be a Badgers fan this year. March Madness is here. There's no better way to get in the action than Prize Picks, the best daily fantasy sports platform you're going to find. With Prize Picks, you pick more or less on two-player projections. And if you're right, you can win up to 1,000 times your cash. That's right. It's fast. It's easy. Makes every game more exciting. You build lineups, pick more or less stats. That's all you got to do. It makes it really simple to dive into and do. Download the app today. Use code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONCollege for $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup over at Prize Picks, the ultimate spot for daily fantasy. Prize Picks, run your game. All right, let's come back. Let's talk some matchups in this game and what I think will happen. That's coming up next on Locked On Badgers. All right, let's get some comments actually though first, because we haven't hit too many comments yet. Tyler's the dude, man. He says, well, let's go. Isaiah plays. Max might be out tomorrow. Yeah, I kind of think he will. I looked just before this. I don't think it's definitively been put up there. I don't think he's going to play. And Max is a big part of what we do. That hurts. But I also think it's the pragmatic move. And I think Wisconsin can win a game without him because I think they're deep enough. One of the strengths of this team has been the depth all year. I think you can see it next game. More Kamari McGee. I did a show on this the other day. More Kamari McGee, more Jack Janicki. Excuse me. I think that'll be the recipe there. And I think they're good enough to go to East Lansing and win without Max Klesman. They're better with Max, but I think they have the depth to overcome it in the short term. Isaiah says JT and JB got to go off. I agree. Isaiah also says Krall have a big letdown game tomorrow. We're playing another physical front court. We know how this ends. I hope not. I'll say this. If Krall doesn't have a good game tomorrow, I don't think they beat Michigan State, because I think that's one of the ways you have to attack Michigan State is through the post. Now, it could be Winter having some moments in the post. It could be some of your bigger guards getting down in there. But I think Krall has to play well tomorrow for Wisconsin to win. And if he doesn't, I'll talk about it, and he'll be part of that blame if he doesn't play well, because I think they need him tomorrow. Tyler, yeah, I agree, man. The Johns always alternate when they go off. It'd be nice if they both put up. Like, if you get a game where they both get 25 on the type of efficiency they're capable of, this team's going to be a monster. Sean Campbell, let's go after dark. I love it. L. Mills, love the late night. Let's go, Ryan. Bucky 73, MSU 70. Absolutely. Tyler Strieber, tomorrow's not a must-win, but a must-play-well game. That's how I've been looking at it, too. Like, you should never look at a game with the season Wisconsin has had. Now, if the season was on the line, if you were on the bubble, if you needed a marquee quad one win, that's different. With the season that Wisconsin has had up to this point, you should never look at a road game to East Lansing as a must-win. It's not a must-win, but they got to play well, because this is so important down the stretch that you're playing well heading into March. Basketball, way more than baseball. Basketball and football are momentum games to some degree. How you play, how you're playing well heading into your bigger moments really matters. You can't just flip switches. Baseball, you just flip the switch because you got a new starting pitcher. Every game, it's different. I don't know anything about soccer or NASCAR. Those momentum sports, I doubt it. But basketball, very much, you have to be playing well heading into March. So I think it's important to go on the road and they play well against Michigan State. And I think they will. There's nothing this team has done this year that makes me think they're going to lay a stinker. And I don't think they will. I'm going to get into my prediction in a second, but I think it's going to be a good game. I think both teams are really good. I think it's going to be a very good game. Sean Campbell, I love this. This is what I want to get into next. Huge test for the new look Badgers offense. So here's my biggest interesting thing with this game. At its heart, this game is a matchup of an elite defense against an elite offense. That's fascinating. And I don't think there's anything smoke and mirrors about this Badgers offense, but it's going to be very interesting to see them go up against this great perimeter Michigan State defense. And if they can once again shoot their way kind of through that, or if they can shoot their way through that, what a litmus test, right? And if Michigan State holds them to 60 points and we can't get anything going, it might be like, oh, man. Now, you're not going to run into very many Michigan States. That doesn't mean your chances of a deep run in March are gone, because there's just, again, Michigan State is in the 99th percentile in spot-up defense. There's not many of them, okay? So if you do shoot poorly, don't take that as some type of banknote that you can count on in the future for this Badgers team. But yeah, I agree, Sean. I think it's the biggest test in tomorrow's game is the Badgers offense against the Michigan State defense. And frankly, which one of those elite units exerts its will the most over the fabric of the game, that's the team that's going to win. That's the team that's probably going to win. Michigan State has a solid offense, and Wisconsin's defense is actually top 50-ish in adjusted defensive efficiency on KenPom. It's okay. And at times it's been better. But ultimately, is Wisconsin's offense going to be too much for Michigan State's defense or vice versa? I think that's the key to the game. Cannon. I love Cannon, man. He says, big game tomorrow. Should be able to outscore them. Big game for our guards. I agree. And he's going 78-71. All right, so what are your score predictions? We're going to get into that next. I'm going to tell you this. I think Michigan State wins. People, I know. And I would love to be wrong. I'll be happily wrong. It's a 4.5-point spread right now. Michigan State being the home team has that 4.5-point favorite. I think it's going to be like a 73-69, 73-68 type game. So I think it's a close game. I think we get right to about 70. I think Michigan State just has a little bit more at home. I do think Max Klesman being down hurts you a little bit. He's been playing well. He's one of our better facilitators, gives you a little more depth. I think it's a close game. I think Michigan State pulls it out just by a few points. And I think ultimately at the heart of it is we end up getting a little shot happy against their perimeter defense. And we don't do enough to get into the paint. And that's not just Crowell. That's concerted effort, Blackwell, Tanjay, McGee, all those guys driving, getting the head down. I think ultimately at home, a really good Michigan State team, maybe down one of our starters. That's a lot to overcome. And I think Michigan State wins a close game where both teams play well. And in the big picture, it really changes very little. And if this was flipped, by the way, if Michigan State was heading to Madison and Klesman was healthy, I'd pick the Badgers. Truthfully, like home court matters. Being healthy matters. Michigan State's a little healthier, and they got the home court. So that's what I'm going with, but I think it's going to be a great game. I'm super excited for it. Tyler has 74-69 MSU. Hunter has MSU 74-70. Andrew says Winter needs to take with a rebounding game and go all out in that facet. Listen, a big big game from Winter would be enormous. Because, again, that's how you're going to excuse me one sec. Still getting over a little bit of a cold, guys. That's how you're going to beat Michigan State. You're going to have to get some action inside. And this is still a really good, per Tom Izzo, like if Tom Izzo's teams are going to do one thing, they are going to rebound well. This is, once again, a good rebounding team for Michigan State. You have to not lose the battle on the glass and then be able to score some on the inside against them. So Winter is a huge key to this game. Key to this game. Amos could be a big part of this game. Amos coming in and giving you 12 to 15 minutes. If he can bang a couple threes and compete on the inside, that could be a big part of this. So, yeah, I think Winter's a big part up here. I think Cannon mentioned Amos as well. Amos could play a part too. Only person who can match up athletically with Carr. Yeah, listen, that Carr's an athlete for sure. Amos is that guy, though. We talked about him in other matchups. Amos gives you defensive flexibility that no one else on this roster has. Hunter says, can we slow down MSU as well? It'll have to be defensive transition. And they're pretty relentless there. So that's one of the first things I said in this show is the Badgers have to be really, really solid defensively in transition, because otherwise Michigan State's going to get easy buckets. And this isn't the type of game you can give up easy buckets and win on the road. So it's a good point. Jan has Wisconsin 78, Michigan State 70. Let's go. I absolutely love that. Nathan says, I have to watch the game with a family full of MSU fans. Any tips on not blowing up in their faces? Are they crap talkers? Like, are you all crap talkers? Like, because, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't have any Michigan State fans in my family, so I don't know what I can help you there. Beer, it depending on how you handle beer in sporting games is maybe where I'd go with that. Yeah, Tyler says, drink up, Nate. Yeah, that's a good one. All right, we're going to wrap it there. Again, quick show, but I want to talk about 3 keys of the game. Again, I think it's transition both ways. Both teams are going to want to run. Michigan State can get got in defensive transition far easier than their half-court setup. I think it's not falling in love with threes, which we do occasionally. Wisconsin does that occasionally. You got to get to the rim and to the paint against Michigan State. They're still good there. There's no holes in this Michigan State defense, but they are more vulnerable in the paint. They're more vulnerable on the rim. And then I think it's allowing Michigan State to beat themselves. If they want to take a bunch of open shots, again, semi-open, you never giving up open shots. But you kind of let them beat you from the perimeter if that's what they're trying to do, and then cut off driving lanes. Be a little less aggressive on closeouts. So I think that's the key to the game. I do think Michigan State sadly probably wins this one, but as long as it's a good game, I don't think it changes much in the big picture. On Wisconsin, Obviously, we will have a reaction show tomorrow. Really looking forward to a big game. Let's go. And when you're done, go check out Locked On Big Ten. All the biggest stories from the conference over on the Big Ten channel. NIL realignment, transfers, all that good stuff. We will end on this one from Canonell. The reason why I think we win, we hit tough shots, we hit threes. We have John Tajay and they don't. Yes, let's go. Let's go. May doesn't have that guy they can go to. MSU doesn't have that guy they can go to. We do, and free throws. So free throws, Michigan State shoots 80%. I'll just throw it out there. Obviously, we are a tick above that, but Michigan State shoots 80% and gets to the line 22 times, which again goes back to the point. They shouldn't be getting to the line that much if you're cutting off their driving lanes and you're making them shoot three-pointers. They're a really good three-point shooting team. They shoot 55% from inside the arc. Make them shoot threes. Make them shoot threes and go from there. On Wisconsin, we will definitely talk later. Appreciate you guys. Have a great night, and let's beat Michigan State.